What's up, friends, and welcome to another Friday here at the Smite Console League. It's your boy, F. Dot, and I'm joined by the Frog Eyes man himself.
What up?
It's Anatoly. We got some games going on for you. Yesterday was North America. You got to be introduced to some of the guys on our side of the pond. But today, we're going to look across and see what's going on in Europe. Barrage and Team Rival are some of the more noisy teams that you've heard about, and they will be battling it out a little bit later on today. But Team eXcellence and Team exceL, or rather just plain old exceL, these are the two guys that will be going head-to-head right now.
It's going to be interesting to see their different styles of game. exceL kind of goes for a more passive game earlier on, whereas eXcellence will tend to play more aggressive as the game progresses.
And we see these guys really gear up and do different things as time goes on. So very excited to check these guys out and see what they have in store. It's one of the more fun things when we come into a giant whole new scene, whole new league, whole new teams, is to just see what goes on. Are we going to see teams like Paradigm? They're a little bit less traditional, or are we just going to see the same old, same old?
I'm excited to see these. It's the same game, basically, just different field of players right now, and that's what I'm excited to see.
Let's take a look. Let's get right into it. It's exceL versus eXcellence. eXcellence will have the first pick, first ban. Same thing as with the Smite Pro League. Everybody gets the same sort of things. So two bans, and then one pick. eXcellence will start things off with a Kuang ban.
Kuang going to get banned, targeting Predators out of eXcellence already, making sure that he's not going to be playing that. Even though he does prefer that style, he's going to make sure that Kaajee on the other side doesn't get it.
Meanwhile, exceL, thinking about their stuff, they'll get away from the mid lane burst at Horizon.
Horizon going to be heavily preferred in the eXcellence. Farleez in particular definitely likes this kind of style. He has been running Hunters as well in the mid lane position, so banning out the Horizon is taking a very, very small portion out of his god pool.
The Athena ban from eXcellence. Pretty standard bans coming out from eXcellence over here. Just the anti-global out of Athena and the anti-heal out of Kuang.
And right now, without that anti-healing, right now they can run a more aggro kind of comp, trying to go for a very aggressive style. So we're going to go ahead and see the Odin ban right off the table as well. So there could be a lot of options for both teams. Now they don't have to pick those gods with escapes. They could lean more towards the Raws right now if they wanted to.
And not for nothing, you mentioned before that eXcellence is a little bit more aggressive than exceL's passive playstyle, and Odin's certainly one of the gods that definitely want to bring it right to the forefront. So the first pick of our European Smite Console League is out. It'll go to Team eXcellence, and it'll be the Kuang.
What more aggressive god can you have than Kuang, who's going to go in there, try to do as much damage as he possibly can, and then Water Illusion on out, and he's going to be doing a lot of damage. To complement that, he's going to probably have a very aggressive mid lane to boot with that. More than likely going to be the Zeus. We'll see.
The Geb will be selected here from exceL to sort of mitigate a little bit of the damage that Kuang can do. Obviously won't stop the execute, but it'll stop a lot of the burst. At least in theory, and some of the crowd control as well that Team eXcellence might want to unveil after their assassin pick. The second choice will be for exceL again, cleaning up the duo lane for exceL, so Rawski and Drizzi will have Geb and Hou Yi.
Geb, very important to fit into exceL's more passive style and to counteract the aggression coming out of eXcellence. Anytime anybody engages, the Geb, as long as he's in a good position not to get double engaged with the front line, then he can successfully get off his shield and allow his team that opportunity to counter engage and draw out the fight. And now eXcellence going to pick up a very safe and aggressive support in the Khepri.
And this is wonderful because it's on the side of eXcellence. They don't even need the Kuang to counter the Khepri. They just have it themselves for if Kuang. So if Kuang successfully gets the execute, he's out thanks to the dragon form. And if he doesn't, he's in a lot of trouble unless he's got a Khepri on his team. So this makes Kuang a lot more lethal with the hands of Khepri on the side. And Team eXcellence going to also select Scylla. So there's that mid lane aggression for Farleez.
A lot of late game burst damage already out of eXcellence between those two magical damage deals. Between the Kuang and the Scylla, you have the safety net as well as the Khepri to make sure that you get out of any sort of dangers. And it's going to be interesting to see how they mix this up between the Hunter position and the solo lane out of eXcellence right now.
Last pick for Noziaa, or for exceL, will be the Noziaa. We'll have the second round of bans coming out here. And very curious to see where exceL goes. They can certainly look towards a Hunter if they know that Team eXcellence's Herp really prefers something above the other. Apollo will be selected. I think this is less about Herp and more just about Apollo being that global tough situation. eXcellence going to do the same thing and take off Giannis to get rid of the globals.
You got to make sure that you don't synergize too well if you're exceL. eXcellence is going to make sure they're going to ban some mid gods away, Giannis being one of them. Another good mid god to ban would either be Zeus, Poseidon, Ra, anything to follow up off of the Noziaa, anything that's really good high burst damage right now. So eXcellence taking away the Giannis off the table.
exceL, I'm expecting a second Hunter ban here, unless they are more just thinking of overall strategy, and they are. It's going to be the Robin. I kind of expected a second Hunter ban here to see how deep in the God pool that Herp wanted to go. But with the Robin ban, exceL, I mean, there really isn't something specific that Robin brings, like a Giannis or an Apollo. Why the Robin ban?
Just to make sure that there's no early aggression between Kuang and Ravana into the jungle of exceL. They don't want to have to worry about the solo lane right now. They have the Hou Yi into the dual lane position. They want to make sure that they cater towards the Hou Yi and the Gold Fury side. So not having to deal with Ravana is a good thing for exceL.
Hercules will be selected, but I'm really looking at the Noziaa on the side of exceL totally. This is a god that we used to see it a lot. MLC Stealth on the PC side of things still plays it a little bit here and there. Lobster as well, but really not a well-represented god. What does Noziaa really bring for exceL here?
It's really difficult to engage on a Noziaa in every stage of the game right now whenever the Clay Golems, the Shining Metal, the stun combination comes out. And on top of that, late game specifically, whenever Noziaa brings one target into the air and gets that target to about 25% health or less, the Noziaa should be able to clean that up.
Medusa as well on Team eXcellence, a character that really hasn't... We've seen a lot of hunters. We've seen almost every hunter, including AMC on the PC side. Medusa also showed up, but not as much. Why hasn't Medusa been seen as often?
There's a lot of other hunters that will bring a little bit more to the table. Medusa, her dash, the way it works, is it can get clipped against minions. So it's a little risky to kind of use your dash to escape, especially during laning phase when there's so many things around you.
Yeah, Medusa, it actually does a lot of damage, to be honest with you, the dash coming out from Medusa. So look for Herp to be a little bit aggressive. Or Noziaa, actually. We have a little bit of a swap. Looks like Noziaa going to be playing in the jungle, while Noziaa plays for the Hunter. So we'll introduce these teams in a moment. We've got Team eXcellence here versus Team exceL. Very exciting start to our European side of the things. Yesterday we saw North America take on North America, and we watched all 6 teams come right on down. Today you're going to get to see all 4 that represent Europe as well. So it should be pretty exciting. Tolly, what can you tell us a little bit about these teams before we get into it?
Well, like I mentioned before, the passive versus aggressive playstyle, I expect based on the picks and bans already that we see, you know, the Geb and the early stages, it just kind of complements their style already. And we're going to see how they transition into the patterns already. We have eXcellence putting up some aggressive wards just to make sure that exceL, even though they've been known to play a more passive style, it doesn't mean that they're not allowed to switch things up. So always preparing for the unknown is a good idea.
So Team eXcellence, let's introduce you to our squads here, folks. Predators will be your solo lane on the Hercules. HerpTheDerp will be in the jungle on Kuang. Farleez is your mid laner. Look for a lot of that burst stuff. Mr. Turtle is your support, and Noziaa is going to be on the Medusa in the Hunter position. exceL, on the other hand, they've got Kaajee on the Kaijuu. It's going to be Sobek in the solo lane, something that I'm very excited about. You've got Noziaa in the jungle. That's Fudge. Hatters playing that mid lane Noziaa. Rawski and Drizzi make up the dual lane, and that'll be Geb and Hou Yi together. So for exceL, they want to play a little bit more passive, and that Sobek solo will allow them to do that. Just a lot of control in the mid game.
Double Guardian meta has been brought back in this game specifically. We haven't seen a Guardian run in the solo lane in quite a long time. The presence that he brings in the mid to late game, once he has the cooldowns online and that little bit of tankiness, it's going to be hard for the rest of eXcellence to get past those 2 tanky targets and get to the back line.
Now, one of the real reasons I think that Guardian sort of fell off in the solo lane was the fact that Hog or Wrath now, it just doesn't, it's not as powerful. So Guardians have some trouble clearing the wave, and you can see that as eXcellence are able to push up onto exceL, rotate in the jungle, and pick up those elementals for free. How does Sobek really work this lane?
You have to make sure that you use your abilities as the Hercules is doing it. You have to try to get the minions bunched up around the archers so you can clear the whole wave at the same time. You're not going to be able to out-clear the Hercules right away, but you will be able to poke pretty efficiently. And then once you have your ultimate ready, you can stay in lane forever as you get the mana regen as you're in lurking in the water.
How relevant is the healing reduction coming out of Sickening Strike?
At this stage of the game, with the only 1 level heal coming out of the Hercules, is next to negligible, unless the Noziaa comes for an early gank and you're trying to secure that kill.
So later on, we'll see it be a little bit more effective as Hercules wants to look and heal up just a little bit more. And this is going to work like a warrior lane that doesn't feature Osiris for now, where the gods are just going to clear the minions and then sort of back off unless a huge opportunity arises.
The one thing that Sobek can do in the laning phase that would really help him out is try to tail flip the Hercules and the melee minions before Hercules gets in a position to use his pull, and then that will disorientate the wave and make it so far wide that the Hercules wouldn't really be able to efficiently find the right pull push angle.
Small things about solo lane. That's what makes it so interesting, is the little things you can do in the wave to sort of stop your opponent from doing what they want to. But despite Sobek's best efforts, Predators hits level 5, starts making the rotation immediately.
The Fire Giant Imps have not responded quite yet, so just taking a peek regardless right around the corner, making sure that even though the Noziaa was missing, just spotting around the corner. We talk about whenever you clear a wave, you have to be doing something, and just going into the jungle, peeking around the corner safely on your side of the map doesn't really put you out of position this stage of the game, so it was a good semi-rotation out of Hercules.
Here in the dual lane, we got Noziaa and Mr. Turtle hanging out here on the Medusa Khepri. Now the Khepri Abduct's going to work wonders in tandem with the ultimate out of Medusa. When Medusa first came out, it was all about the Athena. Now the Khepri's here as well. Certainly another target that helps Medusa find the ultimates.
It would be very easy for eXcellence to figure out a way to focus this Geb in the early stages of the game with that pull and the ultimate from Medusa. It could be happening right now. As long as the Geb is facing the Medusa, it would be a very easy opportunity.
Nice root catch, but the rollout will still continue, and Geb is all good. No problem there for exceL. Team eXcellence as well, playing a little bit passive here. They're known as to be a little bit more aggressive, but this is what happens when you enter the big stage, the big arena. I mean, sometimes your play style can change just because of new expectations.
It's the first game for both of these two teams in the SCL right now, so they're trying to figure things out right now. They want to slow down the game and figure out the right opportunity, the right angle to approach. HerpTheDerp going to try to make sure that the Hercules gets his own blue buff. Securing it right now would put him in a good position, and maybe they could use this blue buff as the Sobek is clearing the wave to invade the enemy jungle side.
Yeah, blue buff very important for Hercules, but instead just going to go ahead and back, so maybe a missed opportunity. Sobek will back as well, so no big deal for either solo laner. Sobek can get away with his blue buff stolen a little bit better than others because of his ultimate.
Exactly. He gets that mana regen in his ultimate form. Gives him quite a big chunk of that. It's a 90-second cooldown as well, so every 3 waves he'll have that available to him, and as he levels up, his Sickening Strike will easily be able to clear out the wave once he hits level 7.
Scylla's level 7, and she's able to clear up the wave. That purple pot and the crush really make her... Her issue used to be early game, but now she's just a little bit stronger there. So she's early, mid, and late game. Actually, mid is probably where she takes a dip, honestly. Other mages have a couple more tools at their disposal, whereas Scylla's waiting for all of her abilities to hit level 5 to really branch out.
You do get that bonus magical power as you do finish maxing out an ability if you're Scylla. So once you do max out that crush, you're going to be getting quite a big of a power spike. Normally at level 8, if you're Scylla, what you normally want to do is you want to save that ability point, so that way you can get 2 points into your ultimate and you finish maxing out the crush as well. And that would be a huge power spike, which they can take advantage of if you're eXcellence.
Definitely want to take a look towards that. And you can see not many people taking a look towards the jungle, as there's just no vision on the map here, folks. 2 wards have been placed in the entire game. They both come out of Team eXcellence. So just not a lot of vision. And that could either be a good or a bad thing as we see eXcellence keep on pushing it, as Herp drops 2 right there. So what I mean by that is teams can certainly sneak out an objective here. We've seen 5-6 minute gold series before. And if eXcellence or exceL find an opportunity where either team is in the wrong spot, you can easily hit up that gold without that vision.
It's definitely a good idea for eXcellence to maybe look for that opportunity when you do have Scylla that is about to hit level 9 very soon. Going to have Doom Orb as well available. The Amma Monster and the maxed out Crush will do quite a lot of damage. As long as the Noziaa is not available to catch anybody off guard, then they could burst it down very quickly.
Couple of wards coming out from exceL now, so no early game wards. Definitely something I'm writing down. As we see exceL and Team eXcellence now start paying attention to the Gold Fury. As you can tell, a lot of the vision around there. 1v1, looking for the first blood is Noziaa. He takes out Drizzi. Team eXcellence First on the board at 6 minutes and 10 seconds.
It's a nice little advantage in the hunter position whenever you can find that solo kill. That's going to put you in a decent position where you can find the power spike in the next item. It's not going to allow you to snowball the lane uncontrollably, but if you can find the second kill off of the power spike, so for example, Medusa will be able to finish Boots 3 before the Hou Yi can, and that could be a power spike to get the second kill.
Exactly, and then you just find yourself in more opportunistic situations as the game goes on. Great pluck from Mr. Turtle to keep the Noziaa off of his backline, and Farleez provides the damage after the crowd control from the rest of the squad, and the trio here for the core of Team eXcellence winds up with a kill. Trying to stretch it as Predators, but not going to find the flip.
That timing of the crush was so important because it killed the Noziaa as the ultimate was being deployed. So if that crush was deployed half a second later, Noziaa would have taken a target up in the air and would have bought enough time for the rest of the team to capitalize off of that hang time.
So very important that these guys are all working on the same page, honestly, and that's one of the most important things that you want to see when you're looking at some of the newer teams and getting accustomed to a new league is, you know, you understand that these guys had to play through qualifiers and it was an arduous path, so these guys know how to push their buttons. They know what they're doing. When you're looking at the pro level, when you're looking at a league, you want to see how well these guys are going to play together and how well the squads show up as a unit.
And so far, pretty good grouping up from eXcellence right now in the mid lane. We did see the solo kill on the Hunter side. They're going to have to figure out a way to transition this. This is a nice little decent lead to start off the game, coming up at the 8-minute mark right now. Only about 1,000 gold, 2,000 experience, which is pretty nice to have right now. So they're going to have to figure out the right angle and probably going to try to lean more towards the Hunter side position since you do have that one level advantage. And if you do find that kill yet again, that can open up a Gold Fury.
And Noziaa proved that he could certainly do it by himself before. So no reason to doubt it can happen again.
Exactly. He wants to be able to make sure that they find that second kill opportunity. Hou Yi is going to back right around that bend. Going to back over his own ward, so he was very safe to make sure that nobody was coming around the corner there.
And that nobody knows that he went back to base. Medusa will say something after not seeing Hou Yi for a while in lane, but Hou Yi's going to be there at the end of the day, and really that information is very important at the top level.
And right now with the Medusa clearing the wave and the Hou Yi coming back, Hou Yi's going to come back with fully finished Warrior Tabby, whereas the Medusa is going to have to back to finish her Warrior Tabby. So a slight advantage for Hou Yi if they wanted to rotate and force the situation right now.
Medusa has a little bit of got a little bit of attack speed as well. Look at that.
Not too shabby. Now that could easily allow her to win that 1v1 exchange even harder, especially popping her first ability steroid to get that extra attack speed, the extra bleed damage as well.
Yeah, that's really what I was alluding to, is the fact that mid game is where Medusa, this is where she shines. Hou Yi's a little bit later, not quite Xbalanque late, but definitely a little bit later than Medusa. So Medusa, as she finishes up this third item with Golden Bow selected first, you're really going to see her sort of come into herself, and that's where she's going to be very devastating in these team fights and these 1v1s.
Both soul laners proxying the way between the tier 1 and the tier 2. I like the idea behind Hercules proxying, as we do have an engage. Going to get stunned mid-air, forcing the purification, jumping up yet again. He's going to be nowhere to go, and he's going to fall right there. eXcellence with their third kill on the board.
Yeah, I mean, even if he jumped away, wasn't going to find safety there, so just jumped on top, see what he could do as far as damage is concerned, to see if he could deter the Gold Fury push, as Team eXcellence going to start thinking about it at the very least. But Medusa decides against it and wants to come mid. He's got the rotation, but not the angle. So we'll just join the squad for some farm.
There might be a forced opportunity onto the soul lane side of things. Looks like Sobek does have the blue buff available to him right now, so he's just walking around as there is going to be potential dive under the tier 1 tower. Hercules and Kuang going to actually deter them away from thinking about diving. It is going to be very difficult to dive a Sobek. Even though he has no mana right there, he could have used Lurking in the Water, regain all his mana, and then it would have been very difficult to lock that down.
And he's pretty tanky. Just finishing up the Mystical Mail now, but before was already level 2 on that item. Plus the Mark of the Vanguard, certainly nothing to forget about. Mystical Mail, an item that we haven't seen too often after the nerfs. It rose in price and sort of went down in effectiveness as well. What is this? Why do we see Mystical Mail?
It's more of a traditional item in the old school days of Smite, where it was very popular back then. There was a lot of physical gods that would be run into the soul lane. Against this matchup, however, against eXcellence's Kuang, the Scylla, and the Khepri, I'm not a big fan of this pickup at the moment in time. However, it's going to be allowing the Sobek to play very aggressive in the backline.
And that's exactly what he wants to do, putting himself in between 4 players as Kaajee directly into the waters, looking for the burst damage onto Predators and friends. Not going to find too much. Scylla crush over the wall, going to do some damage. but not too much to the Sobek. Mr. Turtle's isolated. This could be bad for the support, but with friends around the corner, not too big of a deal. Farleez ready to snap at a moment's notice. So exceL getting a little aggressive, but really they were just pushing eXcellence out of their jungle. So nothing really comes of that.
With no Noziaa ulti or the Sobek right now, I would be looking for an engagement if I'm eXcellence in this position, especially in the Hunter position when I do have this power spike. Medusa did get bullied out a little bit, does finish off the Aussie, is going to get deterred away, and now it looks like exceL was considering starting the Gold Fury.
And they're going to throw a couple of abilities at it, but with Mr. Turtle as close to it, nobody wants to force anything too hard. But yeah, this Aussie on the Hunter, this is where we want to see Medusa get pretty nasty. Excellent Geb Shield, just in time to immune basically all of the damage from Hercules. So ultimate out of the solo laner doesn't do anything.
And now because of the fact that exceL was basically posturing around the Gold Fury, that forced the rotation of the teleport from Predators, and he rotated without having much mana to use in that situation. Like you mentioned, perfect Geb Shield to counter the ultimate, and now he doesn't have that for this engagement coming up forward.
So not going to be available here for Hercules. Got to find the damage elsewhere. 3 players grouped up one more time from Team eXcellence, and Geb's going to join up with Noziaa. So exceL should be able to push back. 12.5 minutes on the clock here, folks. Team eXcellence were the first ones to get on the board and the only ones so far. 3-0. But the lead is small, if any. 1,000 gold separates these two teams, and really, even this early on, that 1,000 doesn't really mean too much.
It's really comfortable if I'm eXcellence right now, because my goal is not to be winning this hard right now. My goal is to make sure that I'm not losing, because my late game is a lot better than exceL's late game. I'm thinking of my Scylla, I'm thinking of my Kuang damage in the later stages of the game, and it is going to be insane to deal with if you're exceL.
And even just having the Khepri to bail everybody out of jail if there's a problem, it's just a very good team comp to go into the later stages of the game, whereas Sobek will sort of hit his stride and he won't drop off, but he won't get any stronger as opposed to some of these other characters. Hercules at minute 900 is one of the worst things to deal with in a game because you don't have that execute. It's on his own team, so trying to kill him is terrible. Sobek is tanky, but you can certainly take him down, I think, a little bit easier than Herc.
It's going to be interesting to see because the Sobek does have the Sickening Strike and does have the Curse available as well once he got that second relic at level 12. So trying to counter his solo lane opposition, we do have a teleport coming online from the Sobek, trying to make sure that he's going to be doing a good job zoning as the rest of his team is going to be looking for the Gold Fury.
Gold Fury goes down to exceL. Team eXcellence has nothing to say about it. So tie game here as exceL even up everything with a quick objective take. And you can see a lot of vision coming out from the red team. Not too many blue wards. And that might have been part of the issue, but Noziaa is going to start the fight. Fudge takes it into the air, and down comes Predators. That's a tanky Hercules. Flipped onto the tower, and Herps takes out Rawski on the back. Hercules still alive, well and good. Noziaa takes to the sky to avoid some of the damage. Turtle and Predators going to miss there, so Noziaa lives another day. And everybody from Team eXcellence going to filter into this mid lane, looking for a push. But Kuang thinks better of it and wants to play it safe.
They need to get something out of it right now. You just conceded a Gold Fury. You got one pick, that's all fine and dandy, but can you get anything more off of this one pick? As Hercules goes into the jungle side, he sees the speed buff, whereas Kuang on the left-hand side steals the red buff. So beautifully done so far, taking that one objective and the second one to boot.
Predators does pick up the speed, and now exceL, pretty mad. They want to do what they can, but already, I mean, this is glimpses of the future. This is Hercules just dealing 1v2. The Sickening Strike is just not going to last long enough. And the Mystical Mail not going to do enough damage. So the Hercules just literally walks away.
The one downside of having Mystical Mail is that it's going to excel the healing from the Hercules. And on top of that, the Hercules could have kited both of those players into the Fire Giant pit and force the aggro of the Fire Giant. That's
where I was going to go. I wasn't even going to mention the healing on Herc. I was just going to say, I mean, if you're going to chase the Herc around in the jungle, all Herc has to do is stand next to the Fire Giant. Your Mystical Mail triggers it, and all of a sudden you get knocked up, you're getting meatballs thrown at you, and it's 1v2 when the other guy's the Fire Giant. That's not a fight anybody wants to take.
No, I feel like nobody wants to take that fight. I don't want to take that fight.
You don't?
It depends.
I don't know. You're a buff dude, Toli. You eat well. You're a good dude. I think you could fight Fire Giant. You don't think so?
El Fuego de Hante.
El Fuego de Hante. exceL versus eXcellence. Man, this one's tough. This one's real tough. Not as far as the game, just saying the team names.
It is. I'm looking at it. One is XL, one is EX. You know, one has a capital L, the other one has a capital X. They both have X's. EX. I'm just like, ugh.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm new. Can you guys help me out here a little bit?
it's funny. Yeah, I mean the new leagues are interesting, and one of the cool things, one of the challenges is just getting to know all of the players, and there is a form that the players fill out with a little bit of info, so we get that. But just really talking to everybody is really what's fun. I've been talking a lot to the North American dudes and some of the guys on Rival specifically, and just getting to know their scene and everything and how everything works. I'm excited to get to know eXcellence and exceL. These guys as well are, well, obviously they're from Europe, but a lot of them have been playing for a while here. Not a lot of fresh blood, whether it be on PC or otherwise. These guys are definitely tenured, and it's exciting to watch them play on the big stage.
It's going to be interesting to see how they transition once the lands start coming around and once the season comes to a close. Predator is going to take a lot of damage right now. He's going to be taken into the air. When he comes landing down, Sobek should be able to get his damage off as well. He should be falling down. However, the Khepri ulti is on top of him.
And that's excellently played, allowing the anti-heal to come out onto the Hercules, but Khepri saves him right away to make sure that it's not too big of a deal. Herp on the other side just going to take out Hatters, and Farleez puts one into Fudge. So 2 dead on the side of exceL. Nobody answered on eXcellence.
And right now, with those 2 picks, eXcellence is going to start to go for the Tier 1 solo tower. They could extend this to a Tier 2 very easily, considering the fact that the Hercules just teleported back in. Looks like there could be a tower dive into the mid lane as Hercules is wrapping around behind. If he finds the push, the Kuang should be able to clean this up.
But Hou Yi catches him out, not going to find it. Doesn't find the stun either. So now the teleport makes this a very bad move. Ultimate from Hou Yi going to drop on down. Predator takes a little bit of poke, but not too much. 2 stacks on that Hide of the Urchin makes the Herc pretty tanky. So not going to fall to the Suns just yet. He lives to see another day.
And looking at the player damage right now, Scylla at this stage of the game with the Noziaa are keeping it up for both of their teams respectively. As the game progresses, that damage is going to go really high for both of them. It's going to multiply by about 3 or 4 within the next 10 minutes, I'd say.
I'd say so. 10 minutes. I mean, it's already 28. It's already 18 minutes here. Totally. A lot of things are going to happen in the next 10 minutes. This is really a hotbed of Smite. The early game can be exciting, but you sort of have to tailor your composition and your game plan to have this really spicy early game. Mid game generally hits a stride, but that 18 minutes to 25 minutes, that's when everything goes haywire.
I like the idea that the Hercules had going around the corner there in that situation. Just poking his head around the corner, like we mentioned before. If you're a solo laner at this stage of the game, you're very tanky. You could position yourselves to look around the buffs, and throwing out the ulti in that situation after a teamfight just happened isn't the worst thing in the world, because you know that there's not much action going on right now.
Able to expend that cooldown because you know it's going to be up a little bit later. Hercules now building into some offense. He's got that hammer coming online. Jotuns or Titan's Bane?
In
or
this situation, I would go with the Jotuns route just to have more CDR, get the heal off more available to me, get more pulls and pushes off whenever necessary, and it's a lot more affordable than the Mantle of Discord.
There's a pluck onto the Khepri, and Noziaa cleans him up. exceL tries to answer back with a couple of ultimates, but honestly, that's just a win for eXcellence there. An easy pick. exceL walks into the wrong spot. Mr. Turtle with a just fantastic heads-up play to grab the player, and everybody jumps on him. And now the Gold Screen already half HP. exceL, they've got 4 players to answer. Noziaa ult, so everybody knows where he is. And there's the ultimate out of Hercules. Gold Fury is going to go the way of Team eXcellence to catapult them into the lead. 3,000 now. And the fight still continuing. Noziaa trying to find something on the right-hand side. Left-hand side is Sobek going to avoid both the crush and the root. So good play coming out from the solo Sobek. But now Kaajee in some trouble. Fudge going to go to the sky with a target. Come right on down into some trouble. And Mr. Turtle is able to finish off the jungler.
And so far, that's the second pick, as we do have a revive coming from the Geb as well. 2 members are very low coming out of eXcellence, so they're going to have to retreat. They got the Gold Fury. They found 1 pick earlier and then 1 pick after the Gold Fury, extending the lead ever so slightly. So really good job objectively so far.
Yeah, just a big jump up from eXcellence, understanding what they can do with the pick and the space that they've created. It's a shutout here, folks. eXcellence 8-0. exceL have yet to really find anything worth of note.
exceL, the way they could turn this around is they need their Sobek to kind of lead the charge and have the Geb in the background. And then if the Sobek ever gets in trouble, throw the shield on him, allow the Geb to stay in the back, use his Cataclysm and his knockup to basically peel for the rest of his team.
The reason we're not seeing a lot of Geb in the support position is because the in our current meta at least is because a lot of teams really prefer these repeatable, aggressive, offensive initiators, whether it's Athena, whether it's even Khepri has the abduct, and so Geb, who has to usually buy the blink and stuff, it's harder to really engage. And without the blink, you don't have that. Sobek is exactly one of the guys that fit in that former conversation. So Sobek is the one that should be, like you said, leading the charge, but just jumping in, trying to find a pluck, and then Geb can play the back line almost sort of like Khepri does, and sit in the back and just provide a shield, provide a knock-up, and play triage, play doctor, while Sobek is the one being infantryman.
And because of the Sobek being that frontline guy, now you don't have to go blink if you're the Geb. You have those two team-fighting relics right there available to you. You have the sprint and the shell to allow your team to either re-engage or disengage whenever necessary. And those two team-fighting relics are very important to have right now, especially if I'm slightly under behind Geb.
Yeah, Team eXcellence, we've identified that their team is the late-game squad, but I actually really like exceL's composition to deal with it. I think there's a lot of initiation, there's a lot of counter-initiation. Noziaa can take the necessary targets that he wants to out of the fight. He can eliminate them assassination style on the squishies, or get rid of Khepri while everybody focuses down a different target. With Khepri in the air, he can ultimate. A lot of tools for eXcellence here. So they're struggling. They're down by about 3,000 to 4,000 gold here, but the tools that exceL have at their disposal make it a conversation that's actually relevant. These guys aren't out of it.
The one thing that they do have to worry about is the under-leveled Noziaa and the slightly under-leveled Noziaa in this position. They're going to have to lean on the aggression from eXcellence and they're going to find a plug onto the Scylla, and if they can find this pick, they should be able to clean out the rest of this team fight if it happens to re-engage more.
Yeah, it's the first kill for exceL. They just find a really quick pick. Scylla just too far up. Gets smoked, and now he's going to sit down in the fountain for 40+ seconds. exceL need to look for something off of this totally. Looks like the mid tower is going to be the target for the red team. Medusa shows up, throws the ultimate. Nobody takes the bait. There's the curse and the flip into trouble. Knock-up immediately followed. Khepri's here as well, so going to be able to save the life of Medusa. And the dash away. Good play coming out from the support. But exceL have already done the damage. Tier 1 tower almost dead. Predator shows up to try and stop, but Tier 1 tower going to fall after a couple more basics. And there it goes. Predator does what he can. Half HP is the Noziaa in some trouble. And the flip back for Hercules, not going to amount to much of anything.
The healing was down to the Herc. The team wanted to disengage after that Tier 1 tower. They could have potentially found the kill had they all stuck around, but thinking more objectively, they got the tower. They wanted to reset. They didn't want to overextend too much, because that's the worst thing that can happen to you. You get the objective and you want to keep fighting, and then all of a sudden you just lost 2 to 3 more people on your squadron, and then all of a sudden now you're losing the Tier 1 mid tower, and then you're losing Tier 2 tower. So that's very annoying. So it's good job thinking objectively coming out of exceL.
Right, and really that's again coming back to sort of amateur teams to pro league teams. That's what you're going to see. The teams that didn't make it through the qualifiers are the ones that are going to take those team fights and then either stretch for another team fight or just kind of like walk back into the jungle and start farming. exceL's here because they're able to find. I'm going to say it totally. I'm going to say it.
Say it.
They're able to find the stuff after the stuff.
They found the stuff after the stuff, which is actually very important. You have to always be thinking for that next step moving forward, no matter what you're doing. You don't want to be very stagnant and standing still, especially in a MOBA game such as Smite, where there's always something happening going on any step of the way. You know, buffs respawning very quickly. Gold Furies and Fire Giants respawn every 5 minutes as well. So you always have to be doing something, getting prepared for those respawns.
I think one of my favorite things you've ever said was always be clearing. I absolutely love that. Always be clearing. That's totally the solo lane mentality, and it's just very succinct, very well said, and I think it's a mantra that you really have to take note of if you're playing not just Smite, like most games, most MOBAs in that regard, but Smite specifically. You gotta, if you're not clearing camps, if you're not clearing the wave, you gotta be clearing gods. Rawski gonna be the subject of that right now. Ultimate comes out of everybody on the side of eXcellence, and it's not enough to take out the support. So Hou Yi's gonna drop the Suns. Noziaa wasn't there, and that's a big part of what happened. That's why the aggression didn't pay off. Noziaa was on the objective, and now it's trouble for eXcellence as they're being pushed back. Herp's able to answer with Drizzi on the backside by himself, but Khepri ults himself. That's trouble, and the continuation as exceL pushes further. Hou Yi can't really find it, so Noziaa now showing up. Herp gonna be fine. It looks like exceL realized that it's a little bit too aggressive and then slink back. But most importantly, eXcellence did not get the Gold Fury.
definitely had to retreat. The Geb earlier on, they were fighting 3v5. They did a good job not losing any more members. Nice double pull coming out of the Hercules. However, Kuang a little bit too far to the side. Didn't want to get plucked under the tier 1 tower from the Sobek.
Predators with the hot teleport comes right back in. Able to just continue putting pressure on the other players. That's why teleport's such an important relic for not just for solo laners, but in general. So much so that you sometimes see junglers pick it up. It just allows you to come back to the fight, stay present, and now this fight that wasn't here before is brought to you by Predators staying here, teleporting a little bit earlier, and his team's able to get off a tier 1 tower because of the pressure.
He always has to be looking for these pulls. Forcing the purification out of the Noziaa was so important there. And now Sobek's trying to do something on the opposite side where he's zoning out the backline, forcing the Scylla to escape right now. Another pull push onto the Geb right now as he's going to be able to roll into the safety. And now with Geb having to retreat a little bit, there could be a little bit of pressure in the mid lane, or they're going to retreat towards the Gold Fury and force maybe an ambush in this little area.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I expect. You see Herp, he's going to go ahead and ward the safe way, or the easy way. And Predator's just going to stand here. He's the bouncer. Everybody wants to get into Club Gold Fury. And Predator says, no, where's your ID, Sobek? You don't got one. And he's got to run away. Gold Fury's still standing, so eXcellence not going to commit to it, looking for the team fight instead. Mr. Turtle takes a lot of poke from the ultimate out of Hou Yi. And that's going to be trouble if he can't find a way out, because now his team doesn't have the Hercules front line or the Khepri ultimate available to them if they want to go really deep. They've got to play it safe and allow those two players to stay on the backside.
Hou Yi might be a little bit out of position. The rest of eXcellence is around the corner. He's going to jump into safety, not going to connect on the root or the crush. Medusa ulti is going to slow the Hou Yi. It's going to allow the Hercules to get into position maybe to clean this up.
Noziaa trying to find an exit, can and will get gobbled on up by Herp. Underneath the tower as Predator's trying to push it as Hou Yi very low. I expect to see Herp go back. He will. He jumps on the backside. The jump is avoided. And now Herp's got nothing in his hand. So we can't take the kills. We'll take the back camps. And everybody, there's a tier 1 tower standing, so fighting under that tier 2, not going to give you much.
Does find the red buff after the pick onto the Hou Yi. Going to start up the Gold Fury for eXcellence right now as the Hercules and the Kuang are going to work side by side. Whoever gets pushed, Kuang should be doing a lot of damage. However, Hercules is going to push the Sobek out of position, making sure that the rest of his team gets the Gold Fury.
Yeah, it's going to ensure the gold one more time, so Team eXcellence again find themselves up 5,800 gold, just continuing their lead here. Up 9 kills as well, 10-1 as we approach half hour in this contest.
More importantly, besides the gold, is the experience. To look at the level disparity between these two teams. The junglers 4 levels into the favor right now coming out of Herp, and we already have a maxed out level Scylla at this stage of the game. Yeah. Having all her abilities maxed out, it's a lot of bonus magical power online right now, and once she finishes off Rada to Hou Yi, that's going to be an insane power spike for her.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's when you're looking at the jungle position, that's very much level 20 versus level 16. When you're looking at the mid, when it's Scylla, it's a little bit of that, but it's also just solitaire, where you got to reach level 20 to go ahead and get the max level. The fact that Noziaa's below 2 levels of Scylla is less important to me than the fact that Scylla's level 20 because of all those passives.
It's going to be doing a lot of damage right now for eXcellence, both of those magical damage dealers. And if I'm Noziaa, I have to be looking for an opportunity to find somebody out of position. If I can find this Scylla specifically out of a team fight, then the rest of my team is going to be generally really safe against that AoE.
This Mystical Mail, I'm still, it's been a long time since we've seen it. And like you said, I don't know if it's my favorite pickup here. But Sobek is able to really be Sobek's able to find a lot of damage off it. You see he's number 2.
Another good thing about Mystical Mail in this position, it's going to allow him to stick on the Kuang whenever the Water Illusion does get used. He can look for the Mystical Mail ticks on the invisible Kuang and then continue to chase that target down if he gets low enough.
That's exactly where I was going to go, man. You stole my point totally. But that's one of the more fun things about Mystical Mails. You can always chase those invisible players because you just get used to when you're playing the Kuang or the Loki, I suppose, you get used to being invisible and truly being invisible. And the only time you take note of it, okay, they dotted me, they know where I'm at. But with the Mystical Mail, it's a little bit different. It's been a while since you've seen it, so it might be easy to fall into a trap once or twice. I don't expect it to work the whole game, but you might find a kill or 2 off of it.
And going off more on his build right now, having the Pestilence online is going to be an insane amount of anti-healing coming out of the Hercules, so they could find this pick early on, especially with the pluck, into the constant CC, whether it's a Geb Cataclysm, the knockup as well. As long as they can prevent the heal earlier on and then get the sickening strike as the Hercules is so, that could be an easy kill.
Here comes Sobek, gets pushed out immediately. Fire Giant already leashed. So Noziaa, excuse me, their first Gold Fury. He stayed on it too long and they lost the team fight. Not going to make that mistake again. Instead, just look for the fight. Cataclysm stuns too, but more defensive than offensive. Rawski going to get stunned by the Medusa ultimate. There's the suns from the Hou Yi. Up to the sky goes Fudge. He's going to take one, and they come right on down, waiting at the bottom. The ultimate is going to save the life of Medusa, allowing her to find a way out. exceL still trying to fight 1v5 his Predators. He gets flipped back into the team, and that's trouble. Hatters winds up with his second kill of the contest, 2-1-0 for the mid lane. And there's Farleez, huge chunk taken out of him by Fudge. And the Crush going to slow the onslaught, and the Ricochet will be sanctuaried out. Beautiful play by Hou Yi, but a quick answer from the mid lane. Doesn't have two sanctuaries, and Drizzi gets him the second time.
We talked about the crowd control that the team of exceL has currently at their disposal between the Geb and the Sobek is what allowed them to protect their backline against the Hercules, against the Kuang. Kuang got very low very quickly in that team fight, and he had to disengage, and now it's going to be exceL on the front running, getting the tier 2 tower, now trying to utilize this 5v3 advantage to get this mid Phoenix as the shell is popped.
The shell is going to protect some, but not all, as Khepri takes a lot of burst, and Hatter is coming into himself now. Level 20 finds his third kill in very quick succession to his second. He's going to be taken out by Noziaa as the dash is online for Medusa. Execute range is Geb, but Kaajee cleans up Herp, so no quick kill from the assassin. And now eXcellence answers back, and they defend very well, still up 3K.
After the 5v3 siege, traded 2 for 2, they protect their middle Phoenix, which is the end goal if you're eXcellence right now. Predators did teleport on in, was looking for a straggler around the corner, not going to find anybody, but might find the speed buff.
Yeah, I think he will. There's Hou Yi. Might come by with the Ricochet. Drops it. Not enough to kill speed. And he goes to Herc. Good job, buddy.
Not going to pick it up, however. That would have put him in a good spot in this next team fight. Having Wingblade and Speed Buff to position yourself for an easier time to find the pull push for the rest of his team would have been really nice. And I like the fact that the Hou Yi was even picked in this situation to deal with the Kuang as well. Having that third point of Mark of the Golden Crow is going to allow him to see the water illusion Kuang and chase him down.
So just a lot of tools on the side of exceL. Again, like we were talking about before, a lot of tools to deal with specifically what Team eXcellence has. And Hou Yi, Mark is just going to be another one of those. So certainly a lot of things that Team eXcellence has to deal with as far as what exceL's able to bring out. 33 minutes on the clock here, Tolly. Team's certainly looking for Fire Giant at this point in the game.
And once they do secure this Fire Giant, some Phoenixes are going to go off the table. All 3 towers currently stand for exceL, so they're pretty safe against any sort of backdoor shenanigans in terms of their Phoenixes going down. They do have, exceL has the potential to backdoor with this Noziaa pick. They could easily group up with the Hou Yi and then look for some towers, maybe a Phoenix as well. So if I'm eXcellence, I'm looking at those 2 guys specifically, and I'm warding in certain spots to make sure that that doesn't happen.
Fire Giant being danced around. Both teams here. eXcellence on their side of the map. exceL likewise. Trying to find the perfect initiation. exceL, as we said, with the Geb on their squad, it's really up to the Sobek to dash in like he did last time. But eXcellence was able to poke him out and just chase away exceL in general. No kills, though, so eXcellence wasn't able to continue on with the Gold Fury.
If you notice how the Sobek is positioning himself right there, he's allowing himself to be in the front. So this time around, what he does initiate the Geb is look how far the Geb is playing compared to the Sobek. This is what exceL has to do currently to make sure that if the Geb gets targeted, he can't shield himself in the chain of CC.
Khepri misses the pluck, and now everybody on exceL going to look there. Ultimate missed by Fudge. First one we've seen, so the Noziaa not going to have the impact that the team wanted, and that's going to change the entire fight. Without that ultimate coming out of Noziaa, exceL can't do what they wanted to do, which was aggress on the out-of-position Khepri. So Mr. Turtle stays alive, 45%.
That's 3 ultimates used coming out of eXcellence, the Sobek, the Noziaa, and the Hou Yi, and none were used at all coming out of eXcellence.
Fire Giant started by Team eXcellence. exceL going to leak on in here. Sobek right available. He's going to get rooted. But everybody from eXcellence walking away from the Fire Giant. They want the fight instead. There's the mark, and see you later, Fudge. Quick, quick, quick. Herp takes him out. Mr. Turtle gets in some trouble thanks to the Sobek, but the grab and the pulse, And a couple more hits. Sobek can execute range. Noziaa gets killed, but we do see the jungler go to the sky, so gonna land aggressively on the Hou Yi one more time. Drizzi in some trouble, but Herp gonna walk away. Marked up. Now players gonna start retreating. So Team eXcellence takes the team fight as they lose 0 and exceL lose 2. And with a 5K gold lead, eXcellence going to start looking at the Fire Giant.
That's going to be really easy to secure this Fire Giant right now. Sobek being dead right there, doesn't have teleport available to potentially steal. It's going to go into the favor out of eXcellence. And now they should be able to clean up these towers. And Phoenix is having this late game damage out of the Kuang and the Scylla. As long as they can find the easy initiation with a Khepri pull or a Hercules pull to get somebody in a position for the root, for the Kuang damage, that could be easy picks with that Fire Giant buff.
Yeah, we've seen it just a couple of times now, whether it's execute or not, just the burst coming out of that Kuang was really a big part of what allows this team to continue on. So that's certainly what they're looking for. You mentioned it in minute 1 that was going to be trouble, the burst out of the Kuang. So definitely keeping your eye on this. 5K down is exceL plus the Fire Giant, which is just a rough spot to be in.
And right now, if I'm exceL, I have to figure out a way to defend or look for something else. Maybe give up a left side just so I could be able to get the mid. Like we mentioned, the backdoor potential from exceL is there. This is their opportunity to try to utilize it. They know that the team fight burst damage is just too much for them to deal with. So it's time for them to look for PvE options instead of PvP.
And that's what eXcellence is doing. So taking it away from exceL. eXcellence is just going to clean up the Gold Fury, easy peasy. Look for a tier 2. Mr. Turtle going to lead the charge, and you can see the basics coming out of Scylla. Everybody else sort of waiting in the jungle, cleaning up jungle camps. And here's finally Noziaa, the real damage dealer to the towers. They're going to be able to push it off.
And exceL are feeling very comfortable that they could defend this. They're positioning themselves in such a manner that they're kind of challenging eXcellence to keep going for the Phoenix. eXcellence recognizing this like, okay, we're going to play it safe right now, take it a little bit slower. We're going to just get all the tier 2 towers out. So that way, if things do go south in the Phoenix Siege, that they could still at least get something out of the Fire Giant buff by getting all these towers.
Exactly. We see this a lot, honestly. Just teams, this is what you do when you want to play just a little bit safe. exceL, like we said, does have some tools to mitigate what eXcellence can bring. So just clean off the entire table. Just get everything all well and good so that the only real siege, the only real push you need to dedicate a lot of your resources to are the Phoenix pushes, which Phoenix pushes are fun because if you put everything on the table for tier 2 tower and you wipe the team, unless it's 45 minutes plus, it's not a game win. But if you're able to fight under the Phoenix and you wipe the team, you can walk into the Titan room.
Yeah, there's going to be a very long respawn timer if you lose too many members, and the counter push is going to be very difficult, especially with the new clay golems, making it easier to siege without minions specifically. If you don't have any minions in the tower rooms, well, hey, here's some clay golems for you to utilize. Have some fun right there.
So a lot of options here as eXcellence coming down the left-hand side looking for the Phoenix. Pluck is on point. Mr. Turtle going to get knocked up and popped up. 25% HP on the support, but he still has his ultimate available. Predators going deep, puts the ultimate down and chases Hatters out. He's 25%, and that's going to allow Team eXcellence to push up without the threat of the exploding minions. Predators still in the front line. There's the shell popped as well. Noziaa ults to put Hercules relatively low, stunned out, taken to the sky. Fudge might be able to kill Predators, and that's going to allow eXcellence to run away as exceL gets aggressive.
Predators was just zoning for way too long. The backline out of eXcellence wanted to kind of retreat a little bit. They weren't on the same page in that scenario. Noziaa was threatening the ultimate, didn't even need to execute it in the earlier stages, and that's why the rest of the backline from eXcellence retreated. However, the Phoenix did go down, so his life did not go down in vain, and right now still in a 4v5 position. They're not necessarily going to win this team fight, but they're going to force the rest of exceL to just sit back in their base and defend.
Just give it a shot, see what could have happened. Not able to find the tier 2 tower, or the Phoenix, excuse me, in the mid lane. So eXcellence will retreat, go head back to base, and just get a little bit more comfortable, gearing up for the next fight. That last one did result in a left Phoenix, so only 2 remain at 40 minutes for exceL. And eXcellence severely in the driver's seat at the moment. 12,000 gold up.
Yeah, having Spear of Desolation currently on this Kuang, it's going to be really rough. Any target that he goes on is going to take so much damage, especially if he does find that kill, resetting his cooldowns for the next target to be dead as well, and then having the damage from the Scylla to follow up. It's looking like eXcellence, as long as they can secure this next Fire Giant buff, and even if they play the same way on the left side, Phoenix this time around having more items to their disposal should allow them to find the kills quicker and then get the objectives faster.
Spear of Desolation is one of my favorite items. It's Thanatos in a glass, right? I mean, Thanatos is passive. When you get the kill, you get your cooldowns back. That's what it does. It's not one size fits all. When this item first came out, you saw every mage under the sun, but losing the couple of seconds on your cooldown doesn't help every single mage. But assassin gods specifically, the gods like Freya, the gods like Kuang, these guys benefit because when the Hebo as well, when the cooldown procs, you're back to 0. So you just wind up machine gunning the team down, and you wind up seeing that waterfall effect that you see at a Thanatos and Farleez in the team fights where I got my target onto the next one, got my target onto the next one. Kuang's able to do that. He picks up one, onto the next one, gets the third one with an execute. All of a sudden, you find a quadrant and pentakill. This item is very exciting to watch, so definitely keep your eyes on HerpTheDerp and see what he can pull off in this next team fight as his team starts to fire.
It should be getting the Fire Shine. Sobek is around the corner, does get stunned out. Fire Shine going into the favor of eXcellence. Dash, charge, prey, not going to find the root. Sprint is popped for eXcellence. They're going to try to find this kill. However, counter sprint was popped as well from the Sobek.
eXcellence just barreling up this mid lane. Curse going to be popped by the Sobek. Good play coming out from Kaajee, but Team eXcellence, they're in the lead. Almost 20K. Pushing up mid lane. Got the Phoenix in their sights. There's a knockup from the Geb. Ultimate out of the Hou Yi. Going to zone out a couple. But Predator's just in the backside doing everything he can. Cataclysm going to bring him down to about 50% HP with some seasoning on top. But the knockup is strong enough to get Khepri out of jail. There's the CC immunity. And now comes the ultimate out of Scylla. One down. Looking for the second. Not going to kill Geb. But finds a bunch of damage. And Noziaa takes out Fudge. Rawski is answered with the crush. And now this one looks like it's going to go the way of eXcellence. Funneling into the Titan room is the entirety of Team eXcellence. Half HP for the Titan. The players are dropping, but Drizzi won't let it go without a fight. Too late, too soon. 17-7, 42 minutes of play, and eXcellence winds up on top.
eXcellence playing that aggro style like we mentioned, picking up the Kuang and the Scylla, and executed it very efficiently. They gave up the Geb, they found the Khepri, which can fulfill both roles, not only the passive, but also the very aggressive. Having Medusa as well to follow up off of that pluck allowed them to get those mid-game positionings that they needed to.
And that's really what I was talking about fighting under the Phoenix. If that fight happens under a tier 2 and you get 1 or 2 picks, you can't win the game off of that. But because the first Fire Giant push took all the towers off of the board, and then the second one went ahead and they were able to look towards the Phoenix, because of those 2 picks that they got, most notably off of Scylla, they were able to just funnel into the Titan room and turn that fight into a win. So the aggression pays off, and the team's able to make the right fights and make the right times.
And it's